Hey, Frank here. So I had the previous video about how to lighten your stain after you've applied it by using some quadruple aught steel wool. So this is a continuation on my process of stain matching this table to this chair. So I've actually done a pretty good job of actually getting the color of this wood to match the chair, but I ran into another problem that I had to do a little research on to figure out how to resolve. And that comes down to the actual grain on this chair. So as you can see, it has this very pronounced grain that's almost completely turned black. Now I've been told that this is a result of the previous roof finisher not stripping the chair and just merely sanding off the old finish. And I really wanted to simulate that kind of feature in the table that I'm refinishing. So I did a little research and came across this process. So here I've got the stain table that's pretty well matched in color but not in grain to the chair. And I've applied 2 coats of sanding sealer, and that's just more or less de-waxed shellac. Now this process is more or less using black shoe polish, just your standard Kiwi black shoe polish, available at like Walmart or any common store. You can buy a similar product at woodworking stores, but I've been told that this stuff is pretty much the same. So what I'm going to end up doing is using a little bit of cheesecloth, getting it pretty well saturated with this black shoe polish, and then rubbing it cross grain into that grain. Now I've done it to the other side here, and it's kind of hard to tell in the video, but if we get in on a section here and look up close, you can see that I'm adding that black color into the grain. Now, the purpose of using the sanding sealer prior to that is, if I'm not mistaken, the black shoe polish uses a similar solvent as the stain that I used, and I didn't want it dissolving that stain, so it's kind of 2 parts. First off, it was to isolate the stain from this black shoe polish and the mineral spirits I'm going to use in the final steps of this. And then it's also to seal off the finer pores of the wood that would end up kind of darkening the wood overall, which I don't want to do because I've done a lot of work to match this color. So this process is fairly simple. You'll end up wiping in this black shoe polish until you get a nice saturated surface. Then the next step is to come over with a clean cloth and just wipe cross grain to remove this material that's just sitting right on the surface. After that's complete, you'll come in with a very light or a very lightly saturated rag of mineral spirits, and again wipe cross grain so you're not more or less scooping this material out that you're trying to leave in the grain. You'll do a couple steps of that, and then coat it with 2 coats of